Well, now what are you doing?
We can hear you, Sally. So that's progress. Can't see you yet.
We're there. Everybody's coming in. Dr. Postle.
Hi, Carrie, Sally, Stacy, Robert. Everybody's here, mostly.
Mostly.
How you doing, Jeff?
I'm getting awfully tired of this working from home stuff.
It's pretty difficult.
It's been 7 weeks for me, and I've reached it. I put in a special request for the next meeting to be on the beach in Hawaii, or otherwise I may go crazy.
You may be alone on that beach.
That's all right. I'll take the sand. I'll take the sun. I'll take the gentle breezes, and funny drinks with umbrellas in it. That's it.
Okay.
I'd be afraid to take a 45-minute flight, let alone a 5-hour flight.
That's true too, Robert. Yeah. Different days.
Yeah.
Audio.
So Sally Brownfield, are you able to hear us? I guess I'll take that as a no.
I'm going to try to text her, see if I can get a hold of her.
Yeah, she called me earlier, said she had a successful meeting earlier today, but then one that was less successful with the audio. So
Sally, do you want me to say what I said last school board meeting, that basically school board meetings will be focused on items that are essential, deemed essential?
yeah, I'll probably have you do that right before the adoption of the agenda.
Okay, you let me know.
Okay.
Thank you. Carrie, did you get the answer to your question?
I did, thank you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Hello, Sally, can you hear me? Sally Brownfield? Uh-oh. She's out there somewhere.
Mm.
How you doing, Bob?
I'm good, sir. And yourself?
Very good. Page 195 on the book, Bob.
Very good.
Bob, I wanted to try something. Could you release the shared screen for just a second? I want to see if I could load something up.
Okay, show me my email then.
Jeff, you should try, if you want to try loading something now, go ahead.
I did. I did. I got it. So I'm going to release the screen back to you. So,
Okay.
thank you. I've got mine set up so when I use, I can pull it up.
I've tried calling and texting Sally Brownfield. She must not have her phone near her. I don't know if there is a way to mute her if she's unaware that she's got sound right now. Is there a way to do that? Until
Bob
we can
should be
get
able
her
to mute
audio?
her.
Bob, did you hear that?
I'm sorry, I was checking this question.
Can you please mute Sally Brownfield since she's not able to hear us, but we can hear her? Thank you. Perfect.
How are you, Kelly?
I have,
So I know it's 6 o'clock, 6:01. We'll just wait here a second till we get Sally situated.
Yes, Sally's gonna dial in now. She should be dialing in.
Okay, I'm in.
All right. Are you able to hear us now?
Can you
Hello,
hear me?
Sally.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Excellent.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, we'll
Good
go ahead and
evening.
get started then. All right. So Sandy Tarswell is not able to join us tonight. She has some things she's working on with her family. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Have we figured out a flag situation so we can do the Pledge of Allegiance?
I have one. If you just give me a second, I'll get it.
Oh, Sally Brownfield has one. I think we're good. Oh, we'll give.
All right.
All right. Well, we'll give Jeff a second to get back here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll be set with 2 flags, I guess. Oh,
Here we go.
All right. So we are well prepared this evening. So I guess I'll go ahead and start us off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
To the
United
flag.
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
One nation.
indivisible, with
God,
liberty and justice for all.
liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Very good.
All right. So Dr. Apostle, you have a statement that you're going to read for us?
Yes. Yes, school board meetings at this time will be focused on items that are deemed essential.
Excellent, thank you. So moving on to adoption of the agenda. Have board members had a chance to look over the agenda? Are there any questions, deletions, additions? All right, if there are none, then I would entertain a
I move
motion
we
to adopt.
the- So moved.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda for May 12th, 2020. All those in favor say aye.
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 Excellent, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to item 3, which is community comments. So since our board meetings are being streamed and held via Zoom right now on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month, community members have the option of making comments by sending them in via email to schoolboard@sheltonschools.org, or they can also phone into the meeting and enter the code that has been shared on all of our websites and social media. Comments will be read and heard at the beginning of the meeting, and we will have another opportunity near the end of the meeting as well. Bob, do we have any comments at this time?
sorry about that. No, I'm just looking at the school board mailbox and there is nothing there.
Okay, excellent. Well, we'll have another opportunity
just close the
later
session?
in the meeting. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said,
Okay.
Bob.
That's okay. I was hoping, because when I made my report, I didn't hear anything. I was hoping I didn't kill the session because I had YouTube open on the same computer, so I was getting a repeated echo.
All right, well, I think we're
Thank you.
having a
No
little bit of a
comments posted
delay,
to
but
the
other than
board
that, I
mailbox.
think we're good. Perfect, thank you. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to reports and recognitions. 4.01 is the monthly update on bond projects by Jeff Feeney. So Jeff, it's over to you.
Thank you, Sherry. Sally. See if I can get back into shared screen here. No, where'd it go? Where did all my stuff go? I want my stuff. Okay. Let's see if this works. See if you all can see this. Should be loading up. No. There we go. Just to start out, I wanted to put this up just to show you from a liability standpoint, and I'm sure the district is always concerned. These are the signs that are posted on the construction sites. Contractor has somebody checking in people when they come on site. All the workers and all the visitors have to be checked in, have to have on their PPE, etc. And Robert, did I also hear they were taking temperatures, or have I got the wrong site?
No, they are taking temperatures as each employee shows up at the beginning of the day and then logging it.
Yeah, it's not stated on the stuff that's posted, but they are doing it. So everybody that comes onto the site goes through a checklist, gets signed in. And what I heard, if I remember right from last week's meeting, we've had just one worker turned away who had a temperature. So for the most part, the site has been no problems. I just wanted to show the board and administration staff that we are adhering to the governors and the protocols of the health department and everything. And the contractors are taking it very serious. So there. So that's that. Second, very quickly, just want to go through the status of the work. Again, package A, we're still waiting for certificate of occupancy. We have one major problem that we're trying to get resolved, and that's the city has asked during the construction process, they amended the permitting. They want backflow preventers on the sewer lines. I've never heard of this in my lifetime. We do it on water lines so that you don't back up water that's in private lines on school facilities in get the city water mixed, etc. But I've never seen it done on sewers. And we have the issues at Mountain View and the high school, and we're probably going to have it at the mini dome. And it's something that we're trying to work out and get straightened away with the contractors in the city. So that's why A and B, Mountain View and the high school, et cetera, are not completely done. I mean, they're certainly usable and 99 point something % done, but we still don't have certificates of occupancy on either of those projects. Going to package D, package D1, we're approximately 98.5% complete. We've gone through a lot of the punch list items, and we're moving forward to getting that done. They're not working on the site right now, but, and we'll get to D3, the same team that did the baseball and softball field won the football and the track. And so we will be working with both of them to finish all 4 of the fields, et cetera, by the start of school year. So there won't be any difficulty finishing that project. D2, I'm going to try and pull up some pictures here and kind of show you. This is just more of the stuff that's posted on the fence. Show you what's going on. Welcome to the pool. We have starting to make a lot of changes in the pool building. You can see this going on. We're getting ready to deepen the pool. Work is just getting in there. I'll move on. If this is too fast, somebody holler. This again, the lap pool. You can see a lot of the stuff that's taken out. And I will also show you again, just pieces of this thing. There's a lot of pictures. I'm going to go fast. Here's the dive pool. These are getting ready, to be replastered and everything and go forward. And then we'll go into the doing the floor over again. So a lot of work being done on the pool as it moves forward. So things are moving. We're going to get this stuff done. If we get into the mini dome, we've ripped out the walls to the outside. We've taken out the locker rooms, pulled all kinds of stuff. We have the part of the roof taken off, and we're getting ready to start expanding. Here we're doing underground utilities, bringing in water lines, the sewer lines on the outside of the building. So all of these areas where we're going to renovate the locker rooms, weight room. This is where we've taken the walls off the outside of the mini dome and the ceilings. We're pouring slabs where you see the blue. That is all now poured concrete. In fact, a lot of this area, which is kind of dirt and gravel, those areas have been poured, but everything moving on. Once these walls are poured, they're going to start standing up the stud walls, the interior walls. They've prefabricated them, so they're going to go up extraordinarily fast. So you can see what's going on. Here again, they're doing more slab work, getting this all leveled out. So you can see a lot of things are going on. Here's another view, again, where we've punched out, taken out the doors. If you look in here, if you can see my cursor, I've got it on one of the baskets on the end of the gym floor, just for a reference point. And you've got a lot of stuff stored in the main gym court, but you can see how much work is going on the perimeter of the mini dome. Again, just more pictures are going to become stuff. When we get to the outside, I'll move a little faster. Again, just tearing up a lot of space. This is the start of the foundations. This is going to be the outside wall of the new weight room and wrestling room. The wall will be heading towards the stadium. You're seeing right here, the red is the back of the football stadium as it comes across. The baseball field is to the right on the other side of the fence. This is another view of how we're extending out. We've taken the roof off. We've taken the walls off. So you will be extending the weight room and the wrestling room almost to this chain link fence and all the way across. And this entire area, about 7,000 square feet, will become the new weight room and wrestling room, and then tied back into the roof. The things are really starting to take shape here. I think this is the sewer line that's going in right there. Goes around the building between the football fields. We're also, this is looking at the high climber gym. This driveway that goes around here, we were going to try and repave and save it. But I believe based on the recommendations and the deterioration of that existing slab, this is all going to come out, and this whole area around will be repaved. So that'll be new when we get it done. Again, more just stuff on the inside of the mini dome. So that's the status of that. Status D3, which is the turfing the football field and replacing the track. We have our first meeting tomorrow. We're still waiting to sign the contract. It's being re-edited. We hope to issue the notice to proceed tomorrow and get going. We're waiting on the city of Shelton to give us a permit. We have 2 more issues we're trying to get resolved with the city, and they're actually emailing with the city tonight, trying to get this done and ready for tomorrow. Our goal is to try and tell the contractor we're ready to go and get this project started. So that's on go. We got a pretty good bid on the turfing of the field. We didn't get as good a bid on the new lighting system for the football field. But again, we had to add some additional work because found out that the electrical panels and everything for the old lighting just were in such a state that they're going to have to be replaced. So we had to add some costs to do some basic electric work before we sit in the new lights. Okay, now I've got to see if I can do this. And I think I have to get out of this, Bob, and then I'll come right back in with my last picture. Okay, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this. See if this comes up. Ah, this is for everyone. This is after 5 years of work at Shelton High School. I thought this was something that everybody who's on today should see. I know Dr. Apostle's seen it, and Robert and Brenda. This is a drone picture. And just to show you what's going on, here's the new driveway, the new parking lot. I'm going to slide this over just a little bit if I can do it. I can't do it. I've got these pictures in my way, but the new parking lot over here. This is the pool building, obviously, which we're doing all that work. You can see the outside ring of the mini dome is all taken off. Part of the roof has been removed. The new high climber gym, the refinished tennis courts, the completed softball field, the completed baseball field. These are the pitching warm-up areas. The softball ones are here and over here. And the mountains are out and the sun is shining. And I just think this is one heck of a picture of the Shelton High School campus. And I just wanted to show it to all of you so you could take a good look at it. This is what you've done in the last 5 years. That's the end of my report.
Excellent.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Are there any questions for Jeff? Comments?
I had a question, but first I'm going to make a comment because it's so exciting to always see the pictures. So thank you for showing all of those. And it's bittersweet because seeing the fields like this, I definitely wish that there were students that were able to be out there playing this season. But seeing all of the development that's going on there is very exciting. My question,
If you- I
because
mean,
if you're going to need to repave,
Yeah. Yes.
if you're going to need to repave around the mini dome, I know that because that area was not part of the new parking lot, that there's always a lot of pooling of water right in front of the mini dome. Would that be something that would be part of that and potentially taken care of, remedied somehow?
The short answer is no, mainly because of the timing. We would have to do a lot of engineering and grade work to solve some of those problems. Second thing is we are very tight on money, and I don't think that we have any surplus to fund that at this time. Robert, any comment? Robert's still on, he's got his mute button on, so he can't respond. Anyway, here's just some more pictures that I just thought are great since they took these. These are what the kids are going to come back to in the fall. And I think these are just absolutely going to make statements to the kids about what's transformed on the Shelton campus. So we'll finish with the last picture.
So I hope,
Just
now.
for your, okay.
sorry, I'm having bandwidth problems, and every time you move an image or something, it has to
Oh.
reload. It just totally disrupts my flow. So I apologize for that. But
Okay.
to address
Okay.
what Jeff was talking about earlier with the drainage in front of the mini dome, that is something that will be part of our master plan, and to identify future budget and financing for that. That is a much larger project to put in new curb inlets and to find either a place to drain them to or to install new dry wells. So it's a pretty significant project that we're not going to be able to shove in at this time because of finances for the cost to do that and the timing.
And since we just finished on package D3, this is package D3. We'll be replacing all of the track, which I know Sally is really excited about. We will be taking out these old shot put pits and putting in 2 of them, getting those all done. turfing the field and striping it for football and soccer. Those will be permanent stripes. The existing wood pole lights, there's 8 of them, will all be removed and replaced with new steel or aluminum poles and high density LED lights, 50-foot candles across the field, which is a lot more than you currently have. The jump pits in front of the stadium remain. The pole vault will be out here in the end zone. That's all done. And by start of school, first football game, this project should be done. So that's the last picture. We're going to show you. This is what it looks like today. And come September 4th or whenever that first home game is, we're hoping for a totally different picture. And that's what I have. And if there's questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions or comments?
I just have one, Sally, if I may. What Carrie brought up is a significant issue. And do we have, and this is for Robert and Jeff, do we have a figure, the amount of money that it would take to remediate that issue? Do we have a concrete figure?
We don't have a concrete figure, but there's been a number that
No.
I've been carrying as part of our summer, as potential summer projects for the last few years. If we were able to have the surplus money available in the budget to do that, I was carrying about $45,000.
Okay. If we could, I would like to discuss that a little further. Not at this time, but making sure that we have all the information we need, because that's an issue that needs to be corrected, as we all know. And I would just like to revisit it again and then report back to the board with specific information. If we could, please.
Okay. Okay. So can you see this picture on the screen? Which says looking at the high climber gym.
Not yet.
I'm still seeing the field.
All right, let me. Okay, then I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this again. Lots of clicks. This should come up now. Give me a minute. There we go. So the area where the ponding is, where the buses come around, the bus loop is over here in front of these trucks. That's where the biggest puddle is. And we're talking about this area here where we're not going to change the grades and just replace this old asphalt. So we haven't even gotten into this loop where the buses come around and where that big pond usually occurs out in front of the mini dome. The front doors of the mini dome are right there. So that's if you walk straight out of that, you would step in the puddle about right where my little cursor is, as best as I can show you in this picture. So we can take a look at it, but we can get some numbers, Dr. Apostle, if you want, to see what it would take to try and solve that problem. But it may involve tearing out a little bit of the bus loop and everything just to get all the grades to work.
Jeff and Robert, we're not going to come through this for a while again. And it would be important to really look at the detail as it relates to this particular issue or any other issue that we're running across, because this is going to be around for a long time. I don't know how long, but it's going to be a considerable amount of time, and we've got to do everything possible to do things right. And the ponding of water in front of our facilities is not desirable by anyone, of course. So I think we need to bring back information to the board to explain exactly what it is that we want to try to do to remediate the problem and what it would cost. We could do
I
that.
couldn't
I'd
agree more,
appreciate
Alex,
it.
and
We
we
can do
will
that.
The
jump
board.
on that and prepare that information, because I'd like to take care
Thank you
now
very
of it now
much.
if it's possible.
Thank you.
Okay, we have it on our task. Okay,
Thanks, Jeff.
any other questions?
Excellent, thank you.
Th- You're welcome. Have a good meeting. See you next month.
The
Thank you,
20th,
Jeff.
Yeah,
Jeff.
who knows when that is. Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Okay. Good luck. Talk to
All
you later.
right.
Bye.
So moving on to number 4.02 on the agenda, recognition of Bordeaux Elementary and Choice High School for being recognized by the state of Washington for their outstanding work in reference to closing the achievement gap. So Dr. Apostle.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Sally. Well, I'm very happy to report this tremendous effort by the staff at Bordeaux and at Choice, and by Hannah Hoff and Paula Kennedy and Stacy Anderson and Amber Hosford, our administrators at those two sites. As we all know, dealing with the achievement gap is a major issue across the United States. This is an area that people are working on, and I'm just very happy to report that we have 2 schools out of 7 that are being recognized by the state, and I'm sure our other schools are working towards improving the achievement gap. But I would just like to take my hat off to both schools and the leadership at those schools and the effort that teachers are putting forth every single day to achieve such a great honor, for sure. I just appreciate everybody and what they've done. We were supposed to get banners recognizing our schools, and I have not seen them or heard that we've received them yet. Has anybody seen those banners by chance? Okay,
Nope.
well, we are due. Pardon? Did somebody say they've seen them? Okay.
Mhm.
Well, if we don't have them yet, we're going to look for them, and we'll present them as soon as we can in person. That would be wonderful. Stacy, do you have anything to say?
I just want
Can
to
you hear me,
thank you all
Stacy?
for the support of Choice. And yes, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you. I want to thank you, Dr. Apostle, for your support of Choice, and to the Shelton School Board for supporting us. And my hat's really off to our teachers. They work so hard every day to help students improve, and we're proud of improving in this specific category, which is for students that identify with 2 or more races. And so we are seeing the achievement gap close. So thank you for the recognition. We appreciate it.
Great work, Stacy. You and the staff are making it happen. If the board doesn't mind, can we have Hannah? Do you have anything to say?
Thank you, Dr. Apostle, and
Is
thank you
Hannah
to the
with
board
us?
as well. I would just, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to
I
say thank
can.
you and really echo Stacy's comments, that I just want to recognize the really hard work that the teachers at Bordeaux have been putting in order to close this gap. So really my hat goes off to them. I've never had the privilege of working with a harder working group of people. So I feel lucky to be their leader. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you very much. Very good. Paula and Em?
So I'd like to congratulate both of you. I saw the
Alex.
announcements on Twitter a while ago, so that was really exciting. You both are doing exceptional jobs at your school, and we appreciate all of the hard work that you and your staff are putting in. Are there any other comments from the board?
just appreciate the hard work. It takes a lot in the details every day to make a difference. I would like, in fact, I have a meeting tomorrow with a group I work with, and next week with the EOGOAC, and I would kind of like to see our data. So I'm on top of it so I could give correct numbers. So I could brag about our district a little bit. How can I get that?
Thank you, Sally.
Um,
We will get the
Sally,
data
I've been
for
doing
you.
a little bit of research. Thank you.
Hannah, can you provide that information to Sally? Boy, we're having trouble with the sound here.
I felt that I was speaking out of
We'll get
turn,
it.
so I stopped myself. I have been trying to get the information from the State Board of Education, and it's there. It's a little bit hard to understand. So I'm working on that, and I'd be happy to present what I do find when I have it together. But I know that Bordeaux, I think that Stacy mentioned that Choice was recognized for 2 or more races for closing the gap between that group. And Bordeaux was recognized for Native American, for closing the gap between the Native Americans and other groups. So that's as much as I know for now. I know that they were looking at lots of different factors. I know Paula's listening on Zoom, so I just want to also mention that one of the factors that they look at is attendance, and that's something that she focuses on and has quite an amazing success with making sure that our kids are at school every day, and that makes a huge difference. So we're looking at all of those success indicators in closing that gap.
Bob Townsend,
you.
are you here with us?
Yes, I am.
Because I think Bob should have info. Yeah, Bob, do you have data that Sally Brownfield is looking for?
So I would need a little bit more specifics of what we're after, but probably.
Okay, can you make contact with
I'm
Sally
sure
and
it would
and find out?
I'm sure that the word
I'm
comes
sorry,
from the state board, so have those, they would have the information what it's based on. So that's probably the route. But I just wanted to be correct on any kind of numbers or anything as I'm in other meetings. But just really happy to see this work being done, and that we're really seeing some results of the hard work our staff and administration, everybody in our district puts in.
So Bob, can you look into that for Sally?
Yep, I'll see what I can find.
Okay,
Excellent. Thank you. All right, if there are no other comments, then we'll go ahead and move on. Again, congratulations to both of your schools, and thank you for all the work that you're putting in. So we'll go ahead and move on to item 4.03, which is the graduation update. So that'll be Stacy Anderson and Jennifer Diet.
Jen, do you want to start with Shelton High?
I will be happy to do that, Stacy. So I'm going to look at my other screen, so I apologize, but you're going to see the side of my head so I can share accurate details. We have had a committee of roughly 20 people to include parents, students, staff members, and administration. And we are happy to tell you all that at this time, we feel strongly that Shelton High School commencement will take place on June 15th. That was the original scheduled date. Our hope is that we can follow Governor Inslee's lead and we will be in phase 2 so we can have small gatherings And our plan is to hold that at St. Martin's, just not the full audience with everybody all in at one time. So I'm going to come over here to my other computer and scroll through that. What phase 2 would allow would be groups of 5. So we would have 1 graduate and 4 guests. So we are cutting the number of guests roughly in half. That would be able to go into St. Martin's Pavilion, watch the graduate walk across the stage, receive their diploma, have their professional photograph taken. Families could take photos. The graduate would walk off the stage, the family would exit the complex, and the next one would come up. Speeches would be pre-recorded. We are also going to use the help of St. Martin's video group, which Shelton has not done in the past, to my knowledge, ever. Other schools do, and they will put that all together without all of the time gaps, and that'll be available for students and families. The ceremony will be live streamed, so everyone can hear every name read as they go across the stage. We also believe that in working with St. Martin's, they will be able to reach out and maybe obtain some variances that we as an individual could not get. They were talking about maybe the ability to have more than 1 graduate's family in the complex at one time, maybe 4 groups or 6 groups, because it is such a large area. So that could speed it up. The worst case scenario is we remain in phase 1 and we would go with a completely virtual ceremony, but also on June 15th. The committee felt that it was really important we stick to June 15th. That was the previously scheduled date. That's what's on announcements. That's what families are expecting. So sticking with that date. That would be our worst case scenario. Again, a virtual ceremony with the diploma being given, photos being taken in some sort of a format, or diplomas being mailed. If we can move to phase 2, like I said, we would be using the St. Martin's Pavilion, and Shelton is following along with most of the other areas that traditionally use St. Martin's. Most schools are choosing to stay with their previously scheduled date. The Tumwater area goes in early June. North Thurston goes June 9th, 10th, and 11th. And so us on the 15th, we're not the first ones out of the gate, which makes it kind of nice. We can see how things go with them and make adjustments as we need to. Again, we're going to be working with St. Martin's to determine exactly how many. Like I said, it will be streamed. We also have very specific directions of where families would come into the St. Martin's parking lot. We would give them directions for time to disembark from their vehicles, so there would not be any socializing out in the parking lot to maintain the social distancing component. Families, if you're not a direct family member, would need to remain 6 feet apart, and then any other precautions that St. Martin's would require. We're hoping that the graduate, and if I'm the one that's doing the speaking or presenting the diplomas, would not have to wear masks for the purpose of the photos, but again, that's up to St. Martin's and what they would require. I think that's the short version, but I'll come back and tell you the reason for this. This is what our students want. We had up to 4 students out of our 17-member committee, and all of them just loudly said, this is what we want. We want the closest thing we can have to a traditional ceremony. We want it at St. Martin's.
Yep, yes.
We want to be able to walk across the stage. We want to receive our diploma. We want to have photos taken, and we want to have our family members with us. We, like I said, speeches would be taped ahead of time. We would still have a staff speaker. We are still including junior escorts so that the program would look just like it would last year or in the next year. So there would be no difference there, trying to just maintain that normalcy for these kids. The students even took it as far as asking for a private meeting because they weren't sure that their voices were being heard. So we honored that between our last 2 meetings, and then we met just yesterday. The committee is under the understanding that this is the recommendation we are bringing forward to the board. We have asked them not to speak about it until it comes to the board, and you all have the opportunity to give input or share your feelings, and then I will report back. Christy Zakem is chairing that committee for us, and then she will report out. That's the general summary of where things stand at this time. The only thing you didn't hear me speak about, what Shelton High School and probably most schools refer to as the staff salute, where all existing high school staff members can be in a graduation gown and tunnel the kids in. We are going to propose that maybe that happen the following morning. June 15th is a busy day. It's a Monday, and that's packet pickup across the whole district. So that would be a conflict with vehicles. But if we did it the following morning, say June 16th, and staff could line up practicing social distancing from the corner entrance where by the Performing Arts Center, lying down in front of the sub, and maybe even open the white gate for just a small period of time and turn the corner down towards the stadium. So staff could absolutely line that whole area, and graduates could go by in their cars and just say goodbye and thank you to staff members.
Excellent, thank you.
You're
As
welcome.
a mom of a graduate, it makes me happy to hear that we're trying our very best to preserve some form of graduation so that the families and the kids can take part in that tradition. I know for my son that we've lost that opportunity, so it makes me really happy that we're going to try to do that for Shelton. Are there any other comments or questions for Jennifer?
Yeah, I think that all of that sounds wonderful because I'm definitely hearing loud and clear that students and their families would like something that seems more normal. Because I'm on the school board, for the last 2 years, I've sat on the Mason County Board of Health. Yesterday, I was part of a unanimous vote with the Board of Health and our county commissioners to apply for a variance for Mason County and move Mason County into phase 2. If Thurston County is not able to move into phase 2, but Mason County can by June 15th, would it be possible to do that same type of timed family walking, but do it on campus somewhere? Or would that not be possible? Or is that
So-
just throwing a whole other wrench into things?
It's not throwing another wrench, and it's actually kind of layer C that we actually discussed today with the leadership team. Maybe we could use the sub. Other schools, for example, Olympia plans to use Ingersoll Stadium in their football field. Those are not options for us because the mini dome's under construction and the football field's going to be. But we talked about the big pieces. The kids want to walk across a stage. They want to have that opportunity. And of course, we would individually have them all move their tassel and do the cap toss as well. But if we use maybe the sub upper area and allowed them to walk through one door, come up over that top being the stage, walk down the stairs, and then exit through the sub, we could do some sort of timed component there. So our first desire is St. Martin's per what the kids are asking for. Our second would be similar things within our own facilities. And then our last option would be virtual.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
All right. Stacy, looking forward to hearing about choice.
All right, well, thank you again for letting me come talk tonight. The choice students and staff and parents had a little bit different take on what they would like to do. So we did the initial survey and had about 70% of them say that they wanted to do an in-person ceremony later if we could. So then I had the senior advisors polled each of their students. They weren't able to reach everybody, but of the ones they did reach, we had about 80% of the families say they wanted to do in-person delayed in September. And we had proposed September, and check my computer here. It's a Friday, I think it's September 18th, but my computer just froze on me, of course. So the idea was that we would have, September 18th, it's a Friday. It would be at the Performing Arts Center at Shelton High, and they wanted it as close to their traditional choice graduation as possible. So what we said is we would do is have a smaller gathering of people based on where we are at that time from the governor's orders. People would be able to come with guests, but maybe not unlimited like we've done in the past. And we would do a modified ceremony based on the guidance at that time. We've also talked to the Shelton High School Performing Arts Center manager about live streaming it. So they have live streamed it the last couple of years for us, so they could live stream it as well for anybody who did not feel comfortable coming. And we could also include those students in the ceremony, maybe virtually. And that's the plan the students would like to do. We talked a little bit about some of the students who might be leaving town and the ones that are leaving town for things like military and college. Most of them said they would either be able to come back or they would just participate virtually. So at this point, that's the proposal. And then if the restrictions are not lifted by that point, we would keep that date so everybody knows the date, and then we would just do a completely virtual ceremony or something similar to like what Jen talked about, a modified ceremony. So it is a little different for the two schools, and we're certainly open to feedback if you'd like to see more consistency or if you feel that won't work. But that was what the families and the staff said to us that they would like to see.
Excellent, thank you. Questions or comments?
I have a comment, but if the board wants to go first, that's fine. Does the board have any comments? I don't want to interrupt that. Well,
Yeah, go right ahead.
I asked both principals to involve the community, to involve parents, and to involve students in determining graduation ceremonies under these difficult times. And I must say that both Jennifer and Stacy did an outstanding job. It's taken a while to come to some kind of a consensus in terms of what we can do and can't do in terms of graduation. I'm I'm hoping that we can follow through with the plans to honor our graduates the way it's been specified this evening. I'm just very concerned about making sure that the health and safety of our families and our students and our staff is of paramount, continues to be of paramount importance. And I had the opportunity to listen to Dr. Fauci this evening, and he presented very dire consequences if we continue to move in the direction that we're moving as a country. Of course, he didn't specifically deal with the state of Washington, but it was quite frankly pretty morbid. And he believes we are moving too quickly, far too quickly in terms of this virus. And so I'm hoping that things get a lot better. And I know that all of us will make sure that we make good decisions in relation to these ceremonies and celebrations to maintain the safety and health of our people and our students. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments, questions before we move on?
May I add one more comment?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to let you all know too that we are working on a project to get our yard signs out for all seniors, which should be happening the end of this week into early next week. So that's something we've shared with Dr. Apostle and with the cabinet and everybody, and we've got a plan in progress that we're working through with Marianne Marshall to make sure that's done safely. So that is something related to the graduation that I think will be exciting. We've ordered yard signs for every senior, so those should be getting out there soon.
Excellent.
All
right, well, thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well,
go ahead, Dr.
Just before the board meeting, I received a phone call from Heidi McCutcheon from the chamber, and they were asking permission to have banners of all the seniors, and they're congratulating them about graduation and some of our athletes, and they wanted to put these banners on the fence at where is it, on, I forget the street, but they are very excited to honor our seniors and our athletes. So you might start seeing signs and banners around town. And it basically, they were talking about the Wallace Neeland, the fencing that's adjacent to Wallace Neeland. And they wanted permission to do it. I said, well, I'll mention it to the board. I don't think that they would be against something like that, because our seniors are missing out on a lot, obviously, and any way that we can honor them would be very, very important. So thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Stacy and Jennifer. Appreciate your report. All right, so let's move on to agenda item 4.04, update on the academies. Dina Ali and Marianne Marshall.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me come and give you an update. You saw in the Friday board report, so I'm also looking at double screen, so excuse me if you see half of me. You saw our revised rollout plan for 2021, and I'm very happy to report that there are just very small revisions in the plan that we have had for rolling out our academies. At this point, our current 9th graders are all enrolled in academies and pathways for 10th grade, which is right on track where we said we would be. The incoming 9th graders will all be enrolled in the freshman academy, and we'll continue to do work to strengthen that experience. One of the really neat experiences this year was that bite of reality that we got to do with half the class, but not the other. I just had contact with our community partner for that this week, and they are actually now arranging to have a virtual bite of reality. So should we be in a remote learning situation at that time, we can still continue to have some of those freshman academy experiences. So that will be part of our remote learning plan. We are making plans for, as the governor's directive releases us a little bit more, to get our community partners involved in knowing more about which students are registered, how many students are registered for each academy, and getting a kickoff event to where our community partners can come together with our 10th grade students and welcome them into their academies. We were planning today, we're ordering polos, so those will be embroidered still in time for a start of the school year. So rather than having what we considered our draft day experience where students were welcomed by community members into their academy in the spring, we'll still make sure something like that happens as a back to school type of event, a welcome back, welcome to your academy. We're so glad that we're all back together and here are your community partners. And to that end, we've been working on a plan of ways to include our community partners that both honor their time and their financial needs coming out of this crisis. We have a lot of interesting ideas. The state and some of the work they have done has given us some interesting ideas. Don Wielander and I were talking about the idea of some of our community partners wearing a small body cam and doing a day in the life of at their workplace, and things that we can show students in ways that people can be involved that are very low cost, low time commitment, very easy for our community partners who so want to be involved with us, but who also have to help their businesses recover at the same time. We are so lucky in all of the things that we have going. The few changes that we made in our plan are really at the K-8 level. And we, over the course of the year, I met with the leadership team of every single building outside of Shelton High School except for Choice, and we're working with them on their new school project. But all of the other buildings are surveying what they're doing K-8 for activities already that match with our academy theme. So for example, you're all very familiar with PEI, our science initiative that we do with that group. That aligns very nicely with our Natural Resources Academy. So one of the things that we'll be doing over the next year is just making sure that that is very firmly in place. PEI is also working on remote learning options. So as you can see, everybody that we partner with and everything that we're considering in our academies, we're already putting plans in place. Were we to have some sort of remote learning that was part of our school year again, whether it be students had to alternate days for social distancing, whether we had a fully remote opportunity again, we will really be prepared to continue on with our courses and our academy work, regardless of what the learning situation looks like. We've also asked our schools to start thinking about what does junior achievement and those K-12 financial literacy standards look like. So we'll be working with the schools over the next year, talking about how might they implement that. Bordeaux already has that fully implemented with junior achievement, with the work that Brian Wierzbicki does. That's one model. Some of the schools have some other ideas of ways they might implement that. So we'll be having that discussion. Marianne Marshall has been helping me survey how are the science kits being used, and is there overlap, and are there ways that we can incorporate STEM into the K-8 in a way that meets our manufacturing, engineering, and technology academy. And then we're going to, Don Wielander and I have a plan. We're going to expand STEAM Fridays, which is where the students come up to Shelton High School and they get to experience CTE classes. We're going to expand that program to include all 3 elementary schools next year. So it won't just be Bordeaux that gets to experience that, but all 3 elementary schools will have a chance to come up and have that experience with the CTE classes at Shelton High School. So really, I want to say thank you to the board for your continued support. We had a very solid plan that rolls out 1 year at a time. And because we did that in a thoughtful, direct way, we are ready to go. We are going to be where we need to be next year. So I'm very pleased and I'm just so grateful for your support.
Any comments or questions from the board? Marianne, do you have anything to add, or Dr. Apostle?
I'll just add that I'm so proud of Dina and how she's continued to keep this ship moving even under these circumstances. You know, she has just been diligent. She has been just going above and beyond, and truly just want to thank her for all of her work.
I will echo that. I know that I have my marching orders from the school board that to continue on with our vision, to continue on with the implementation of our academies and pathways. And I shared that information with the staff and with Dina, and they're taking it to the limit, as you've heard this evening. We're not going to stop. We're not going to regress. We're going to just take the environment as it is and do the very best we can, incorporating remote learning and the traditional model when we can, integrating both to continue moving forward in terms of our academies. So thank you very much.
So any comments, or questions from the board?
I'll keep mine brief. My house is really loud, so I'm trying to stay on mute. But thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing. I think it's really exciting to have all of these different opportunities for our kids. And I know that it's not easy. It takes a ton of coordination. And I just thank you for doing all of that.
Thanks.
Excellent. I agree. And the fact that you've done so much planning and organization and put together a very thoughtful and intentional plan means as things have changed for us currently, that means you're able to be quick on your feet and think about other possibilities. So I appreciate all the effort that you've put together as far as that's concerned as well, since hopefully things will go back to normal by fall, but if not, it sounds like you have a plan in place. So thank you, Dina. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. So speaking of remote learning, we'll move on to 4.05, which is an update on remote learning from Kelly Neely and Marianne Marshall.
So we are in full force with this one. All of our schools are participating. We have everything from packets to Zoom meetings to using Google Classroom. And in that, our teachers are exploring using live lessons and taped lessons, and then sweeping back and checking in with all the kids. It's a combination of everything, and everybody's in a different place with it. I feel like we are really learning some things that will continue on throughout time, even into the next fall and the following school year. Being able to use these materials and platforms has been really interesting for everybody. It's a learning curve, but we're all kind of settling in with it now. You've attached to this is the continuous learning plan that we've had to do with the state, which outlines all the things that we are currently doing and will continue to do. The one thing that we do have that helps track this is every school has a tracking sheet with their teachers and every student to see when we've communicated with them, how we've communicated, what needs they have, and then we've been following up. So if it's an academic need, if it's a social emotional thing, if it's food, we have all that in place. So really proud of our principals, our teachers, everybody involved. It just seems like we're refining as we go, and it's getting tighter and tighter and better. So very proud of them.
Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. Dr. Postle, do you have a comment?
Oh,
Marianne?
And I'll let Marianne speak first, if that's okay.
Sure.
I just want to speak to the professional development. We talked a little bit about it at the board meeting the last time. It was so popular with the Google Classroom and the G Suite that goes deeper into Google Classroom that we were able to open up more trainings because our staff was just so interested. So we were excited to be able to offer more openings for that as well. And we will continue to provide the support that is needed to ensure that remote learning is done at its finest. And like Kelly said, we're constantly refining and our teachers are working really hard. And the best part is they're collaborating with each other. And that is so exciting to see. They've always done it, but now they're doing it even more so. And so I look forward to seeing this carry out again in the fall and go to this model as the new norm.
our teachers aren't just collaborating with each other. I really am enjoying this part of it. They're not just collaborating with each other, but they're starting to collaborate with the other schools. So for instance, we have a team at OMS, a math team that's been hosting their Google Classroom, and they get about 100 kids signed in a couple of times a week, and they're doing the live lessons with them. One teacher's taping, one teacher's doing the lesson, and another teacher is going around through the Google Classroom and answering questions of the kids. Well, not everybody knows how to do that, so that staff is starting to share how to get that accomplished with other staffs. So it's just awesome. It's what it should be.
I just want to say that I congratulate our teachers. We've been in this realm for about 50 some days, and we've made tremendous progress. One of the things I'm saying to our administrators and union leaders is that we take this time to continually refine remote learning and our packets and how we're dealing with packets across the board. But this is a time to refine, because when school opens again, it'll be much different. And so we want to be ready for whatever is coming our way in terms of challenges and opportunities. And I will close by saying that as a superintendent, I've been very fortunate to have Kelly and Mary Ann, who are wearing a variety of hats these days, doing an absolutely magnificent job supporting our teachers in every way possible. And both of them have put in tremendous hours every single day in terms of making sure our teachers are clear in what's expected and that they're supporting our teachers and staff. And they do this every single day. And I know because I speak with them or email with them every day. I don't know how many times a day, but it's quite a few. But they're doing a tremendous job, and we're seeing the benefit of that with our kids and with our overall program. And I thank both of you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Fossil.
Yeah, if I can make a comment, because I'm living through this while it's happening, and I've seen the rapid evolution and the hard work of all of the teachers as they've done this. My two daughters are 5th and 6th grade. One of them does participate every single day on that math class that you're talking about. And they've had over 100 kids. This is Monday through Friday, every day. And those teachers are like a well-oiled machine. And there've been hiccups along the way, but they've been managing that really well. And my 5th grade daughter has done recorded class meetings. She's done just worksheets that are coming across. We're having a number of different things. And the emails, robocalls, teacher touch points with their advisory teacher, all of those have been really wonderful. I see it in my own two daughters that they love seeing their classmates. They love being able to see their teachers. I've seen their teachers at the end of it just be so excited to see somebody who's finally joining that hadn't before. So all of that just, it's not normal right now, and it's a lot of hard work, but it gives them just a little bit of feeling connected to their classmates and their teachers that they miss. I know that for me and my daughters, when they can go back to school, they will be really excited to go back to school. I don't think that doing 100% like this is going to be, is going to be too many people's choice, because it's a balancing act. And I know that there's teachers out there that have kids that they are balancing, whether they're young and not in school or whether they're trying to help them with school. And I know that that's hard, because I'm working while also trying to help my kids. But it's also given me, as their parent, some really fun moments of being able to be a part of their schoolwork in a way that I hadn't before. So I'm knee deep in this as we go through it. I've been so impressed, not just because I'm on the school board, but because I'm seeing this, just how much work has gone into it and how well it's been done in such a short period of time. And it's just amazing when you stop and really think about what has been accomplished so far. So thank you both and thank you to all of the teachers that are doing this.
Carrie, I really appreciate that, because we don't always get to hear from the parents at this end of it. So it's good to know that the way that we're perceiving it is how it really is coming across.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments, or thoughts?
Just on the Friday report that I read through from a couple of the principals, there were comments about teachers feeling overwhelmed and very difficult, and just kind of wondering how that's going and about the balance of support for the teachers, and also wondering about, because I heard things in the community that goes a whole range from they're totally in tune with this and going along, and some others that are frustrated. And you know, I don't have a student in the school, and so I haven't been able to experience, and I wonder, I don't want to make assumptions, but I don't know what was done to support, to help the parents and help the students be ready for this way of learning. They kind of just jumped in, and I feel like some of the comments I'm hearing is that some families, I think, are having a hard time. They don't know how to do this, and so I was just wondering about what went in. We have professional development for teachers, and I know some of them are even struggling with that. So then where's the professional development for our parents and our kids that are expected to take advantage and opportunity for the lessons they're getting?
I think, Sally, a lot of that for the parents comes through those contacts that we have with them, the phone calls, the emails, that sort of thing. I know that we've used a lot of our interpreters as well. A lot of that is the families that have the language barrier. So we really, the more that we know about it and the more that we contact the families and the more that they say, I need help in this, I need mom or Conquaball, I don't understand how to use the computer. We've been working through all of that as it comes along. So every time we have a parent who raises an issue and says to us, I don't know what to do, then either the teacher tries to tackle it, the principals may be involved, sometimes I've been involved, Mary Ann, whoever is on board. Our tech department has been awesome about that, using our interpreters that way too. So every time something's uncovered, we go in for it. You know, we didn't get a lot of notice at the beginning that this was going to happen. So just as it unfolds, we're trying to figure out how to support them at the same time. As far as the teachers go, too, we've tried to really get them to limit what it is that they're doing. So we've put that focus on math and reading so that they're not trying to do the whole gamut. We've really focused in high school just on the necessary courses that the kids have to get through. And then we're just trying to support them in any way that we possibly can. You know, getting a schedule out for them, making sure that if they're doing office hours, that they're really not going above and beyond. But it's hard to stop them from doing that because their hearts are there and they want to help kids even if they're reaching out at 8 o'clock at night. So it's a hard thing to do, to hold them back, but at the same time push forward. But we keep surveying and asking and coming back to working with the union a lot. I just answered a union question today about some things, you know, to keep it moving along. And I really have to give kudos to Susie also, Worsbicky, because she's been feeding questions as much as they come up through the union so that we can help to address them and find any way we can to support the teachers, whether it's finding more time to go into the school, getting them paper to use, making sure that we pick up packets and mail them for them. Anything that we can do to help, we've been doing. And we'll continue to do that.
And I know, and I'll speak because Hannah's on here. Hannah Hopp is from the principal at Bordeaux, has been doing a wonderful job of every time she does meet with her staff, they're talking about how they're feeling, and she's working with them on that and teaching them and strategies and skills how to take care of themselves
Yeah,
and
self-care.
how to teach their kids to take care of themselves during these times. And so I just appreciate the support that she's been giving her staff and her students and her families. But and that's happening throughout each of the buildings. Principals are really tackling that. And I think just talking about it and giving small helpful hints every time you meet with people is starting to help. But again, those phone calls home and making those connections. And again, we're refining what we're doing all the time.
Our counselors too, I'm super proud of what our counselors are doing. They're also holding office hours, and they've, especially at the elementary level, have taken calls from parents on how to get their kids to stop fighting. And how I know it's so funny, but the counselors are helping them work through all that because they're not used to being on top of each other all the time, trying to get the kids to do the work. They're not the usual teacher, all of that. So the counselors have been holding also things for the kids where they come in to the Google Classroom and they can talk about how they're feeling and what they can do to support them. And we're doing videos also that we put out on Facebook to help support the families, about patience and anxiety, those sorts of things. So anything that comes up, we've tried to tackle.
Yeah, it's a whole new thing. I know at the Squaxin Island Child Development Center, we're sending out packets and we're doing all of this readiness for kindergarten. And so we have packets for them. And actually the family came last week to get their packet, and the kids were fighting. The older one was mad because the little one got packets to work and they didn't have anything. And so then we made something for the older one to give to them too. Yeah, so lots of dynamics are going on.
A lot.
Yeah, no question.
All right.
Can I add just something very quickly?
Yes.
I think that Sally has hit on something very important, and I agree that our teachers and counselors and principals are doing everything they can. But if we really think about the position that parents and families are in right now, and the issues and the dynamics they're dealing with, we're asking them in many cases to teach their kids. And a lot of parents aren't working. I mean, there's so many things on the table that parents are dealing with. It's unbelievable. And I think we need to do more in terms of dealing with our families, and we're going to research ways that we can do that. But they're under tremendous stress. There's no doubt. I've talked to parents and had some really down-to-earth discussions with parents about what they're facing in our community. And it's very, very challenging right now for many of our parents. And I know our teachers and counselors and administrators are doing everything they can within their power to alleviate some of that stress, but it's very hard, very hard. So anything we can do, Sally, to improve what we're doing for parents, we're going to do it to the best of our ability.
And I think that's an excellent point, Sally. Having been on the other side of that equation, even when you've made the choice to school at home or through remote learning or an online school, it's still challenging. And then we've asked our parents didn't have a choice. It was something that was due to circumstances that was given to all of us to do. So, and I know too, having been contacted by the ALE department from OSPI, that's one of the things that they're struggling with as well, is we're looking for ways that we could better support parents across the state as we all sort of jump into this thing. So anything that we're doing that helps parents will be, I know will be much appreciated. And I know that all the work that our counselors and teachers and administrators are doing, I'm sure is going a long way towards that. So any other comments, thoughts, questions? All right, so let's move on to the consent agenda. Any questions or discussion on this?
Looked pretty straightforward.
Yep, pretty straightforward.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
And I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda passes. So moving on to discussion and action items. First item on this section of the agenda is 6.01, proposed name for the new high school. Stacy, you're up again.
All right. Hi, everybody. Well, thank you for letting me come speak to you about this again. And I'm just going to read my prepared statement because I just want to make sure I get it right here. So I want to thank you for supporting the new high school team in the process of opening our school for the fall of 2020. We greatly appreciated your approval of the name Cascadia 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, following the vote, I was provided with more information regarding the name Cascadia. As a history teacher, I was embarrassed that I did not know some of these details of the concerns regarding the Cascadia Detention Center that operated in the 70s. Not only were the conditions and the treatment of the students problematic, to say the least, but the site itself had been illegally given to the state of Washington by the United States government without consent of the Puyallup tribe. This was contrary to the original purpose of the facility, which had been initially designated as a facility for Indian healthcare. Some of the members of the Puyallup tribe occupied the Cascadia site in 1976, which eventually resulted in an agreement with the United States government and Washington State to close the juvenile detention center and turn the property back over to tribal management. It sounds like this was a very positive victory for tribal rights. Given the background, however, I ended up talking to both Alex and Sally after the board meeting, expressing my concern about moving forward with the name Cascadia. Some of the values of our new school include social justice and equity, and our team really feels that starting with the name Cascadia is not the way to go. We would like to propose a revote at this meeting. We are proposing the runner-up name of Cedar High School. If we could have this approved at this meeting, it will help us move forward in marketing of the new school and recruiting our students. Again, I apologize, I did not know the full history at the time. And like I said, I was a history teacher, but it just shows us how much history there is that we don't know just in our own region. And I would rather, admit at this point that I was wrong in bringing forth the name Cascadia than to move forward in the wrong direction as we start the new school. So thank you for listening. And that concludes my statement.
Thank you, Stacy. Are there any questions or comments? All right. So Stacy, I know this was the second choice of students, so I'm not sure really how I want to frame the question. So basically, we're moving forward with approval with student voice and staff, and excellent. Okay, I think that's sort of what I was looking for.
Yeah, and in our community surveys, we did 2 of them, and Cedar was one of the highest choices in both of those surveys. So it came in right close with Cascadia. So we felt good about the name either way, but we went with Cascadia because it did have a few more votes from the students at the time.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Can I just ask, because I know Peak was on one of the surveys and would just love to get some thoughts around that as well too before going with one or the other.
Sure, I think Peak is a great name. It was not one of the ones we originally had in the original survey. We brought it to the last board meeting as a possibility, thinking that maybe we should put something in there that was totally new. And it wasn't in the initial round, so it hasn't been vetted with some of the students yet or all the staff, although we do a lot of voting at Choice, and we did do a vote with our new tech planning team. And Cedar was the one people felt they could compromise on once Cascadia was off the table. Some loved Peak and others felt, nope, not quite right. So.
I liked Peak, but I think, isn't there a Peak learning system? A commercial?
Yeah, one of the concerns, or not maybe concern, but one of the issues Kelly Neely did bring up to me is that our Fuel Ed program is managed by Peak. So it is possible we could get confused over those names being so close. And then there is a Peak school, I believe, but I'm not sure how close it is to here.
Alex, did you have a comment?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I just would like to congratulate and thank Stacy for doing a great job. Asking people their opinion, bringing people together. She's been working on this issue for quite a long time, but she's involved people. She's handled everything very professionally. And I think she's arrived at a conclusion after doing a lot of investigating and respecting the total situation and the board. I'm very happy the way that things have gone in relation to this effort. Thank
I
you.
guess I just have a question as far as process. That do we need to have our first action? Does it need to be to rescind our decision from the last board meeting and then go forward with a new motion?
Yes,
That's my question.
I believe you do. To rescind the last decision.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we rescind our decision from our May, what was our, anyway, the date of our last meeting. That we rescind the decision that was made at the last school board meeting to name the new high school in the light of new information.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to rescind the decision to name the new high school Cascadia. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. So now we need to move on to actually naming the high school.
You want to do that one, Karen?
I can. I'll make the motion that we name the new tech high school at Choice Cedar based on their surveys of staff and students.
And I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to name the new high school at Choice Cedar High School. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Yay, so we have a new name for a new high school.
Thank Stacy for the research and the discussions she had with people on that. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you all for being gracious and giving me a chance to come back to the board when I realized that was probably a mistake. And we are so excited. So now you're going to see all of our brochures and promotional materials with Cedar High School all over them. And just to put it in there too, we also have new brochures and promotional materials for Choice High School, since there will be 2 next year. So thank you all.
Excellent. Thank you, Stacy. All right, moving on to discussion and action item 6.02, the proposed awarding of the bid for package D3 football field and track. So Robert.
Good evening, everyone. Hopefully you can hear and see me better now as I've dialed in on my cell phone instead of trying to use my Wi-Fi through my computer. With that said, this evening we come before you to ask for you to consider awarding project D3, package D3, as it's come in and was bid, the low bidder and only bidder through a cooperative bid process is Coast to Coast and their major subcontractor, Premier Fields. This is the same entity, collaboration between 2 contractors that did the successful D1 package project, which was the baseball and fast pitch fields. And so their bid amount, as part of the bid tab that was shared with you, was their base bid was for $3,107,052. There's an alternate number 1, which was to add the lighting and to move to an all-new LED lighting package. That's for $449,863. And so we're respectfully requesting you to approve awarding the bid for package D3 and alternate number 1 in the total amount of $3,556,915 to Coast / Premier Fields.
Excellent. Thank you, Robert. Is there any questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to award the bid to Coast to Coast.
So moved.
Second that.
So it's been moved and seconded to award the bid for package D3 to Coast Turf. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? So motion carries. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. All right, moving on to discussion and action item 6.03, proposed resolution number 20-04, emergency waiver of school days and instructional hours. Kelly.
Here I am again, another waiver. This is our emergency waiver for school days and instructional hours, basically saying that we will not meet the state's instructional hours or days because of COVID. And there's a waiver into the state that I have completed that goes along with this. The other thing that we have to have that is attached is the continuous learning plan. It's at the last page of this. It's essentially everything that I've already gone over with you, stating the amount of times that we're recommending for each student to participate, how we came to the conclusions, how attendance is not going to be taken during this time, and that we won't file truancy reports. Our main focus is on K-8 reading and math, and 9-12 is a new trimester for us. So we narrowed the scope again of the classes that the students would take. The students who need additional accommodations and assistance are noted, and plans were put in place by Jenny Lafreniere, our Director of Special Services. And then, of course, the last thing that's on there is our grading policy. And we used Governor Inslee and Superintendent Reichdahl's charge of do no harm, and have gone through each set of that. We've gone over it before. Sally did catch one thing with our 8th grade, so we changed it to A through C. We had A through F. I don't know why we didn't have A through C. And so we've changed that, and all submitted to the state. After you decide to approve it, it'll be put into our records. And on May 15th, there'll be a questionnaire sent out by the state that will mark off that we're requesting it officially, and we'll submit everything by May 29th.
Excellent. So I see that this is a first reading, but I understand too that we have that May 29th deadline. Are we hoping to have this approved tonight?
Alex?
Well, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with our work up to this point, and we have a board meeting on the 26th, and so we could come back through again as a final check and submit on the 29th. But I would prefer to review all the information, all the latest information with Kelly and with Mary Ann, and then come back to the board on the 26th and make sure that we've hit all the marks. If you don't mind, that's the way I would like to handle it.
That sounds fine to me. Carrie, Sally, are you okay with that?
Yeah, that sounds good to me too.
I'm fine. Who knows what they might throw in.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I just want to make sure that we hit all the buttons, and coming back to the board on the 26th would be very desirable. And then we would submit right after the next day.
Excellent. Are there any questions from the board? Yeah. Thank you, Kelly. It was what you put together was very clear. And thank you for your information on this tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that wraps up our discussion and action items. We'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Sally. Well, very quickly, I attended the ESD Regional Superintendents Committee meeting this morning, and the two topics that were focused upon were continuous learning and what's happening in districts in our ESD, the fact that packets are being distributed and different platforms of remote learning are being implemented throughout the ESD. And I I know those things are happening here, and we had a few discussions about that, but there's still the same questions and concerns that we all have throughout the districts that surround us. Tracking the rate at which students are participating was another issue that we discussed, and it is an issue in every school district, and we're doing everything we can to refine the process. I know teachers are working hard to monitor student participation, but it's probably not where it needs to be. But that's why I keep saying we need to keep refining how we do our work every single day. So that was the major issues in that meeting. Something else that came up in the superintendent's meeting was a meeting is being held this week with Superintendent Reichdahl to review plans for opening schools. I'm very concerned when schools will be opened and how they're going to be open. And I've mentioned that earlier in the school board meeting. I just want to make sure, that we're safe and that our kids are going to come back and our staff is going to come back to a healthy environment. And I'm sure that our state leadership will monitor that very closely. I think our governor is doing a great job monitoring the health and safety of Washingtonians. There's no question about that. I'm developing a reopening committee comprised of educational staff and community leaders so that we're ready when school begins again. The meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June 9th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. This will be a Zoom meeting unless things change tremendously. But a letter will be going out inviting people to participate. The June 9th date provides us with time to gather the latest information up until that point so that we can make good decisions regarding the opening of schools. I'm participating in WASA's Brown Bag Lunch Program, and I can tell you there's no lunch available because there's Zoom meetings, but they're very interesting. And I attended one last Friday, and the last Friday's was navigating uncertainty, leading today for a new tomorrow. This coming Friday, we will focus on leading distance learning for all students and staff. The following Friday will be ensuring learning 7 ways to prepare for the opening of the 2020-21 school year. And then the last Friday, which is May 29th, leading education forward through the lens of equity. So the speaker, Jean Sherritt, last Friday was excellent, and I presume that the next 3 are going to be just as good. So I can only say that I'm very proud of our staff and the effort that they're putting forward in a very different educational environment. I have nothing but support for our staff. They're doing a great job. I know we're not satisfying everybody. I know that for a fact, but I also know for a fact that our people are working very hard every day, giving everything they have that they know how to do at this point in time. So I'm looking forward to school starting again under the right circumstances. And I believe the committee that I'm initiating will help us have a smooth transition to reopening schools whenever that might be, and within the parameters that our school board here in Shelton establishes, along with what Washington State and the governor are going to prescribe. So stay tuned. We're on this and we're going to win it, and we're not going to stop trying until we do what we need to do for our kids. That's the #1 purpose. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, so we have reached the part of our meeting for a second opportunity for community comments. Bob McGath, do we have anything that's come in on our email? Any comments there? Any comments on our social media?
I have 3 emails to the school board mailbox. First is from Eric Forsyth, school recognition links. He sends a couple of links here. His statement is, "Hi everyone, I was in the YouTube live stream of the school board meeting tonight. I hope this was helpful to you. The data and methodology is rather complex. I think as focus schools, Bordeaux was recognized for growth Native American. Choice was recognized for growth 2 or more. And then there are 2 URLs that were attached to his emails that I won't read, but we can look at, I can forward them to you separately for you to take a look at. Then we have a email from Shaylee Gordon, honor cords. What is the update on students getting honor cords? Third one from Derek Allen at hcc.net. Board members, I'm glad you have a plan for graduation. Please know that Mason Web TV is available to help if needed. Also, in case you were not aware, last Tuesday, the Mason County Commission honored graduates with a proclamation, and Commissioner Kevin Schutte, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name, invited all commencement speakers to a future commission meeting to do their speeches. To update the county's application to move to phase 2 of reopening, the State Secretary of Health denied the county's request this morning. And although it was a bit difficult to see on YouTube, the ball fields look awesome, and Mason Web TV is looking forward to providing live video streams for those new fields next spring. And of course, we plan to broadcast every football game this fall. Thank you, Diedrich Allen. There are several comments that have come in on the YouTube stream. First one from Eric Forsyth, coming in during an earlier presentation. Need a $100 million bond if you want things to get done right. Another congratulations from Way to Go Choice Teachers from Eric Forsyth. And that's it for messages of relevance.
Excellent. Thank you, Bob. Is there any, and I see that we have a phone number that has dialed in. Is there
Yes.
anyone here who would like to do a community comment? Before we do that, just as a reminder, please say your name and address before you begin your comment. You'll be given 3 minutes to speak. And in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the board is not allowed to discuss items that are not on the agenda. The board will direct the superintendent to follow up on any items that arise during public comment as appropriate. The board will not allow complaints against an individual staff member or student in open session unless that individual has requested an open public hearing. So is there someone who would like to make a comment? All right, so hearing none, we will go ahead and move on to board member comments. So Carrie or Sally, which one of you would like to go first?
I'll go. Actually, in these times, it's hard to remember what day is which. But I've been, I'm on the art committee for both the Mountain View and the high school, the Shelton High School, and we're moving right along. We narrowed it down at the high school for an artist today, and we're getting there at Mountain View. And so those projects are moving right along. What else was I going to report on? Forgot. Oh, the scholarship that Sandy and I are still working on the Drake Scholarship. It's been a little bit challenging. We narrowed it down to 10 students that we're trying to get the rest of their information, and it's been difficult to get those students either on the phone or on email, but we're still going at it. So we'll give it probably until the end of this week to see what we can get and then go forth with that. So that's it.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to thank everybody again for their hard work. I appreciate getting the board reports. I appreciate now the addition of the principal reports that we're getting as well too, to see what's going on in the schools. Like I said, I've got 2 daughters going through this, so I have my own window into what's going on. It is limited to mainly OMS, but I do talk to a lot of other parents. And Sally, what you mentioned earlier, you know, I know that this is really hard for families. I know it's hard for mine, and I'm here able to support them. And not all families have the ability to have an adult at home all the time. And then the other part is our students. Even during this meeting, I had a text message from a friend that I managed to see that she just expressed to me that her daughter's really struggling with this kind of learning environment. And I had my own experience of that this week with my own daughter, who was frustrated with the math lesson. She wasn't understanding it. She was saying, how can I possibly move on to the next grade level if I don't understand this? You know, I'm going to be the only person in school that doesn't know how to do this. And I was trying to remind her again, we're all in the same boat. We're all going through this. You know, we are all definitely going through this together, but our students, you know, I just want to, if there's families out there listening, thank you for doing this, and thank, you know, your kids for trying this new environment that none of us thought was ever going to be thrown at us. You know, and try to set your expectations down a little bit. If you're having a frustrating day, it's always better to stop and give your kid a hug or just take a break from it for a minute than trying to force something that just isn't happening right then and there. I know my daughters miss their classrooms. They miss being able to discuss a subject. They miss just hearing the teacher's perspectives. And that can be done on some of the online classes, but not everything is being done that way because it just simply can't be. So, you know, my mind is definitely on the parents and our students right now. I am very thankful that our school district has multiple ways of getting support. Just this week, I've had to email my daughter's teacher because we couldn't get into a Zoom class. We've been able to get into every Zoom class. We couldn't get into that one. I will be picking up a second Chromebook. I thought I could do this with my two daughters with one Chromebook, but I'm realizing they both need their own now that some additional courses have ramped up. I appreciate Katie putting those notices out on social media so that we can notify families that they can still get Chromebooks. You can still look up tech support. You can still reach out to your students' advisory teachers or their teacher to get help. And I know that they have posted different counselor times too. And I would just encourage anybody to don't hesitate to ask for some help right now. There's a lot of people that are willing to help in whatever way they can during this time. So that's it for me.
Thank you. And I just wanted to take a moment to recognize all of our teachers. Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and I just wanted to say, wow, you all are heroes and rock stars and are doing an amazing job of teaching in ways that you have never had to do before. And we notice, we see what you're doing, and we appreciate it. Having had the opportunity to teach online with a whole lot of training, I really admire what you're doing with a minimum of training. And so please know that we appreciate each and every one of you. All right, so we do not have an executive session tonight, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate everyone being here tonight.
Thank
Thanks,
you. And
Sally.
good
Take care.
night. See you.
Good night.